You're listening to The Great and Secret Knowledge. I'm your host, Jeff, and with me once again, Sofia.
God kväll.
Hello, Sofia. Hope your evening is treating you well.
It is, but it's dark now. It is sad. It is fall. Swedes hate fall. I know that some countries don't, but for us it's like, no, it is death.
Gets really cold.
Yeah, and especially dark. In Stockholm it doesn't get too cold. Something like little under freezing. So.
Well, I guess let's just get into this. We're watching Star Trek TNG, Heart of Glory. I believe on Prime it's episode 19. But yeah, what did you think of this episode overall?
I liked it. I thought, it was entertaining, and I also thought no notes, like no big notes about the plot. Nothing where I was like, what? Why is this here? So
it was nice to
plotted.
Get a Worf-centered episode.
Yeah.
And to get a little bit of Klingon backstory, culture, biology. I'm not sure. One of those.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you, actually, what is the timeline from in this series from the original series? Like, because I suppose in that one they had a war with the Klingons, was it so? They were at war with them then, or?
The war was over before the original series started. They had an uneasy peace. And there may have been another one after. There's a time during the movies where they make an official peace. So I don't know if there was just hostilities lingering or if another war broke out. But it's been about 80 to 100 years since. So they've got a cordial working relationship as far as I can tell.
Yeah, because I was curious, about, for example, with Worf's upbringing, if the war was still on when he was a child, or if it was, but then it wasn't. They have been at peace for a while, but it's just like a little bit uneasy relations, it seems like.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that the Romulans attacked the Klingons and the humans rescued him suggests that Klingons and humans are friendly. Or at least they'd let a Starfleet vessel into the area.
Yeah, but they were confused of why they were in the neutral zone. Is that not allowed for the Klingons to travel there?
So I believe this is the Klingon neutral zone. If it was the Romulan neutral zone, it would have been a whole mess. Like it could have sparked a war for them to go in. So I'm assuming this is the Klingon neutral zone where they have a relationship and can help each other out.
So they are pretending, like with the Tellarian, they were pretending that they were going in like their zone. And then they were like, oh, we happen to come in our zone. We don't know why. I guess I shouldn't go too far ahead in the plot.
No, that's okay. I mean, it happens real early. But it is confusing. Like, why do the Klingons... If the Klingons and humans are friendly now, why do they even have a neutral zone? It's not like we have a no man's land between the U.S. and Mexico.
Yeah, that's what I also thought. Like, and how, for me, a neutral zone is a zone for everyone. So then I thought that it was weird that they were like, why are you in the neutral zone? I'm like, that is the whole idea of the neutral zone, is it not? It's like being like, why are you on international water? You know, it's like, should I not be?
Yeah. Maybe the Klingons at this time are insular and not expansionist.
Yeah, that could be that they're
So
staying in their own
stay out of it.
areas. Yeah.
Interesting. Because these guys are definitely warriors. They're not like scientists or tourists or whatever.
Now I want to see the Klingon tourists. It's like,
yeah, we don't get a rich sort of description of other parts of the society very often. So our heroes are being sent to a battle, or to the site of a recent battle, rather. No reports of any Federation vessels in that area, so they're going over there. They're thinking maybe a Ferengi attacked, but it doesn't seem logical. Riker says, should we separate the saucer? And I was like, in previous episodes, I was like, hey, separating the saucer would make a lot of sense here. But in this case, Picard's like, nah. So it made me wonder how often they address whether to do it or not, because they only do it in 3 episodes, I think, maybe 4 over the course of the series.
I feel like they should have that every start of every episode, just like as a standard thing, like separate
Riker's
the saucer.
Just always, he's like, I just want to command that battle bridge.
Yeah, like the Klingons did.
In one of the movies, I think they separate and the saucer lands somewhere, which suggests that the saucer has warp capability. I think we've talked about this before. But it doesn't have nacelles, so it seems unlikely. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that you talked before, maybe it was too expensive to animate, but couldn't they just use the same shots and be like, separate the saucer? But
yes. Yeah.
Standard saucer separation shot. Stock footage.
So they're thinking it's possible that the ship that attacked was Romulan. And that's what made me wonder, like, is this the Klingon neutral zone or the Romulan? It can't be the Romulan. There's no way.
I like the word building there. Like, it's kind of nicely put, because I think that Riker said something about, I guess Picard said, like, that was a long time since we met these. And Riker's like, I would rather it would be even longer.
This is of no known Ferengi design. It is possibly Romulan.
Now, there's a name we haven't heard for a while.
I could go a lot longer without hearing it.
So then it's like not this kind of clumsy exposition, when you're like, the Romulans, they are this kind of people. And then now it's like a way to just slip in, like, we don't like them. But then they were not in this one. So I guess it's nice to have a little bit of a misdirection.
So they arrive, shields up, and they find this busted-ass vessel. Life support is failing, and there could be a cloaked vessel nearby, so they have to stay sharp. We learn it's a Talarian vessel. I have no idea what that is. Listener, if you know what a Talarian is, shoot us a message. If I feel like it, I'll Google later and punch it in, but I don't remember them.
I feel like from the name, it's like this thin, long-limbed people who maybe look a little bit like a plant or something. That is my
I like that.
headcanon before it's changed.
The Talarians. That sounds a little too close to the Tall Aryans. No, thank you. It's called the Battress. It's a cargo vessel, and there are possible life signs, but they can't be sure because there's magnetic and radioactive clutter, which is a common trope for Star Trek. They've got to know why they can't just transport people in and out. Picard wants Yar to stay on the bridge in case there's a battle. They send LaForge, Data, and Riker to the transporters. Picard says, everything about this seems wrong. And Riker says, indeed, smells like a trap.
Agreed. Smells like a trap.
Riker's suspiciousness on display, as usual. So in this one, LaForge has a device that will let folks on the bridge see what he's seeing. Now, my theory here is that either the writers were like testing out whether this would be a cool idea that just didn't necessarily pan out, or the episode was running a little thin and they're like, let's do this thing so Picard has something to do while they're over there.
Yeah, that's true. It's like a very tiny extra plot, which doesn't really go to anything specific.
I guess on a character level, it lets us see what Geordi sees.
Yeah.
And sort of get a sense of what it's like to be Geordi, I guess. But Picard, I don't know. I guess there is this fascination for non-disabled people to wonder what it would be like. So there's a sense of that here, but it is a little awkward. I
thought it was mostly awkward because he was just like getting caught up in it. And I thought that was very unprofessional. He's just like, oh, wow, interesting. It's like, you're not the, I feel like he was being a bad captain there.
Well, so this thing only works at short range and he has to switch it off during transport. Oh, that's another thing. Like Data and Geordi are always engineering, coming up with new shit. So it's kind of highlights that as well. They put phasers on stun and they're on the ship. So it's fallen girders time. We got flashing lights.
Steam.
We got steam. Yep. Tubes hanging down. And then we get Geordi vision, and Picard is mesmerized. He goes, extraordinary.
Extraordinary.
He stands up to get closer to the view screen, which I love this trope. They do it all the time. And then he says, talk about awkward. Now I'm beginning to understand him. He's like, what's that over there, Geordi? And Geordi's like, that's Riker. And he goes, to me, it's just an undefined form standing in a visual frenzy.
To me, it's just an undefined form standing in a visual frenzy.
So Picard asks how Geordi picks out the info, and he says it's an analogy to hearing in a loud room, how you pick out certain sounds. So that explains why Data doesn't have it, or why the ship sensors don't do it, because it takes time and learning to like figure it out.
Yeah. So the idea is that he doesn't really see it like they see it, because he can focus on the specifics. But yeah, I liked the idea of it. I just thought it was. I think that it's interesting when we have seen this episode so far is that I feel like the show is giving maybe too much content. No, I can't speak. Too much content to Picard. It's like he must always have the different like personal things. Like not always, but it's like maybe it would have worked better if another person had been like interested and he could have been like, no, let's get back on the actual mission, So now it seems like it becomes a little bit weird when he is always the one who has like some extra interest or like bringing up extra things. Don't you feel like maybe he has like more of these kind of initiatives, I suppose?
Yeah, I mean, you could have had Troi or Crusher on the bridge get a line or two, God forbid. Troy's not in this one either. She would have solved this one. These Klingons are up to something, Captain. They're lying through their teeth.
I just have to say that maybe every start, they must check, like, separate the saucer. Is Troi here? Like, those two things. Like, no, Troi is, like, this is not her shift. She is off shift.
Mm-hmm. She has to sleep a lot. She's like a cat.
Oh yeah, that would be a great actually. It's like no, I can't talk about it because it's a Swedish thing. But there's a character in a child comic where he goes to sleep in weird times, and then it's always like because he is also someone that can solve the problems. So then it's always like, no, he went to sleep. He cannot help us. So that could work.
So Data has this aura around him, and it turns out because he's an android, and we're left to wonder like what's that about? But I assume it means he's putting out a lot of electrical signals or something.
Yeah, makes sense.
So we get moving. There's green light. There's smoke. This is a really groovy set. I love the loose tubes hanging down.
Yeah.
Got some cool decking. I love when folks reach for their weapons when nothing really happens. There's this moment in Star Wars The Force Awakens where Kylo Ren has been holding a phaser blast in space, just floating there. And when he's done, it goes off and shoots something. And one of the stormtroopers like points his gun. He's like, oh. I love that. So tension is building. Geordi gets way out in front. We learn there's high levels of deuterium gas. So I looked up deuterium gas. It can make you asphyxiate because like it takes place of the oxygen in your blood or something. Mm-hmm. But it's also highly flammable. So the fact that they've got their phasers out is questionable.
Yeah, which also is a data that warns about it later.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's hot and dangerous, and then Geordi ends up going into it anyway.
Yeah.
Maybe you can tolerate it for brief periods.
Yeah, and I think that they say that the gas is not at a lethal level, but it does seem, if you compare it to how they would do it today, it seems very funny where they go without like any pressure suits, any like breathing equipment or anything. It's just like, no, it's not yet lethal. Let's go.
Oh my God. Yeah, you're going onto a ship that might explode. I don't know, maybe put on some spacesuits. Figure out where the escape pods are ahead of time. Let's see. Data says all routes are equally dangerous. Geordi can tell the ship is falling apart. He's got this, I don't know, the vision thing. He estimates they have about 5 minutes or less till the ship blows up. They lose transmission to the ship. Somebody suggests it's signal overload, whatever that means. They detect some life signs near the core. So this is where Data goes alone because he can handle the heat and the gas. We get a shot of Riker and Geordi looking real sweaty. And then Data's like, I found him. There's a door I'm going to have to open. And then Riker and Geordi just join him over there.
Yeah.
Geordi touches the door. And I'm like, what if that thing was like, well, I guess he has his visor, so he knows how hot it is. Never mind. So they can't use their phaser because of the gas. But I'm like, what about if they force the door and it like creates a spark? Metal against metal. But this is not that kind of show. They slip in and they see Klingons. And Picard says, Klingons?
Klingons.
And we get Worf eyes to commercial. Music swells.
Yeah, he looked very scared, I felt.
Mm-hmm. So we cut back, and one of the Klingons is near death. Data says he can carry him, and the guy's like, no, I'll do it, the Klingon. Geordi says, Commander, we're out of time. This ship is blowing.
Commander, we are out of time. This ship is blowing.
Really great line read on that one. And then they get a last minute transport and it goes painfully slow. Maybe because Tasha Yar is running the transporter. Like, we can't have an engineer do that job.
Yeah, that's true. That's weird.
This is before they got Miles O'Brien, who was like their dedicated transporter guy. I figure it's like conservation of characters, you know, in a story. You don't want to throw too many named people on it. Plus, it's TV. They don't want to have to pay a named character.
Yeah, and also I can imagine maybe in the first season they didn't have as much of a budget. So they're like, we cannot have one.
Yeah.
Couldn't they have a computer? They don't really have that. Even though they have like the holodeck thing, they could have this like Alexas who is like doing the, beaming. No.
Yeah, they seem to, in high pressure situations, have a human take over or a crew member. They don't automate the transporter process. I think that's purely so that they'll know who to blame if people die.
Yeah, I mean, that is a concern in our time as well. If you have a computer, if the computer runs the car over a cliff, like, who's to blame?
Every time I hear about a car going off a cliff, I remember this Saturday Night Live running skit called Toonces the Cat, and every single one would end with the car going off a cliff.
Oh.
Look out,
Because the cat's driving. Anywho, the away team returns to the ship, and Yar is visibly relieved. They get the survivors to sickbay.
But they also, I was wanted to comment on the fact that, they don't actually, they think that they didn't return and then they return. It's like some kind of double transfer. But how fast is that? It seems like they went very slowly to get to the...
So this is a Star Trek convention from way back that the first beam out sends their cells to what's called the transporter buffer. And I think that's there so they can make sure all their cells are going to be in the right place when they beam them in. And it also becomes a plot point in certain episodes where they put people into the buffer so they aren't prey to like radiation or something.
Okay.
That comes up a few times over the course of the franchise.
So it takes a little while for them to really be loaded up.
Yeah, and I think originally it was just designed to give us scenes like this where we're like, what's going to happen? Are they going to get them? Oh, they're coming. Oh, no, they're not coming,
Yeah.
So Worf asks if he can go to meet the Klingons. Picard says yes, and they go together. Dr. Crusher is scanning the dying Klingon. Doesn't look good. And we meet Chorus and Conmel. What's this guy's name?
I was not sure, actually. Yeah.
Conmel.
They were not the Klingon names that I would have expected, but I thought maybe all of them would be just like one syllable.
Yes. Well, they do have K's in, which is a lot of Klingon words have K's in them. So they ask, why was your vessel in the neutral zone? The guys say Ferengis attacked. And here we get into a lore thing. Chorus has never heard of Worf. And I'm thinking surely the only Klingon in Starfleet would be like known throughout the Empire, right? I mean, that seems like a big deal.
Yeah, I think so. But maybe there's not that much communication between them. Maybe it's like they don't exchange news or something. But yeah, I agree. I think it's like in our modern day, we would have written it so that they knew him.
Well, it could be like they're an insular society. Like in the U.S., how much do we know famous Europeans, for example? Like, yeah.
Yeah, but I guess maybe to me, it maybe depends on even though he is the only Klingon with humans, maybe there are other Klingons that are with other races. So maybe he's not like, maybe it's not super weird that a Klingon would be in another species. It's just that, oh, you're with these humans.
Maybe this guy's really knowledgeable about the Talarians, but not the humans. So he tells how they won against the Ferengi. He says they shot these ancient Merculite rockets at the Ferengi when they were coming in range, and they turned off their shields to transport them over, and that's when they did it. And I was thinking, that's extremely dishonorable, right? Like, that's not glorious combat. That's just being shifty.
Yeah, it seems pretty sneaky. But I'm not too familiar yet with what they consider. If it's like they always have to attack. But yeah, I guess from what we have seen, it seems like they don't like subterfuge.
Yeah, subterfuge. Totally.
Huge.
What a strange word. So Picard's trying to ask him some questions, and they want to relax, get something to eat. So Worf takes them to their quarters. We get more suspicious Riker. We learn that the Talarian ship was way off course, and they're wondering why 3 Klingons were lounging on this busted ass freighter. So there's some holes in their story. And then we learn it's going to take 48 hours for them to get a call back from Starfleet.
Yeah, seems they're way off.
So the Klingon neutral zone is a full day's worth of communication back and forth. We still don't, we haven't nailed down how long it takes to send a subspace call across, many light years. But until now, the calls have been like, live. So that's interesting.
Yeah, because it does seem like they could send it, even if they have gone through subspace, they could still communicate instantly with each other, the ships. But, I like to imagine that maybe there's like different areas of space. So maybe it's like, oh, this area has very dense, what would you call it? A gas in it. And therefore,
there's some space goo in between them and their,
their
repeater. I think it's like in the neutral zone, they don't have a subspace beacon.
Yeah.
So maybe they have to route it through like a different channel, or maybe they send a little probe that then sends the signal, something like that. Yeah,
I would buy it.
So Chorus replicates. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I was thinking before when they were first entering these Klingons, I wasn't sure, if it was weird that Worf was on this ship. I wasn't. So I like this also, that I didn't know the context before
we're just
they
learning
got into
about
it.
How unusual Worf's presence is.
Yeah.
So Chorus makes what looks like a turkey dinner. And we learn that he's the only Klingon in Starfleet. And this begins this interesting area of conversation where it seems like they're trying to needle Worf and like bring out his warrior spirit. He says, what is it like for the hunter to lie down with the prey? Have they tamed you, or have you always been gentle? And so he's clearly baiting Worf, and Worf's like, why are you doing this?
Why do you wish to anger me?
And he says he wants to see if Worf has the Klingon spirit. Back in sickbay, the Klingon is dying. And the Klingons and Worf show up. And then as soon as he's finally dead, Chorus begins this shout. And there's this iconic shot from above with the 3 of them shouting straight up into the camera.
Yeah. And they also open the eyes as he's dying.
amazing. And I found myself deeply moved.
Yeah, I liked it. And they did the burr sound like, and then it's like,
Yeah,
screaming.
it was kind of subtle music. It wasn't like the orchestral, you know. Or do you mean like how they started growling and then?
Yeah, that's what I meant. And it was like a little bit like, I guess it was kind of a growl, but it also sounded almost like an instrument or something like, you know.
Yeah. Riker's off screen with a trombone.
Probably.
So Conmel takes what looks like a spike or a thorn off the guy's boot.
Oh yeah, sneaky. But I was wondering, you know, when we know now the end of the story that this was deliberate. So I'm trying to think of like, did they deliberately kill this guy, or was it just that they had fought, you know, in the ship? Oh, I guess the other Klingons attacked them, and that's why their ship was damaged.
Yeah, I think these three were definitely in cahoots, so they probably wouldn't want him to die. He just happened to have that thing on him. Unless it's like part of the ritual of death where they take a bit of your uniform with them.
No, I agree that this was part of the weapon, but I don't know. It just seemed a little bit strange that they had this planned, this specific weapon distributed on their bodies. You know, I guess it seemed a little bit more planned than I felt like it was, I suppose.
Do you think they always planned to blow up a Klingon vessel? Or was that like a opportunity attack or like a
yeah, that's what I was wondering. You know, like, because I think the way that I understood it was that they were on this vessel, they were trying to escape the Klingon space. So they were like hiding on this, what were the long people?
Were they already criminals before they blew up the Klingon cruiser?
Yeah, I thought that it was like they were hiding on this Talarian vessel, and then the other Klingons came to collect them, and then they had like a battle, and that's when their ship was damaged. But then it just seems like, why did they have these weird weapons? But maybe that was just a fail-safe in case they were captured. Maybe they thought they would be captured by other Klingons, and then they wanted to fight them.
Yeah. Well, and we know Chorus is sneaky, so he might have just improv'd this plan once they knew that they would be picked up by somebody.
Yeah, that could be.
At one point, this kid's mom pulls them away from the Klingons. And I'm like, are kids just really interested in Klingons? Like, ooh, it's like if somebody brought a goat onto the ship.
I love that. They could have a little. Yeah, how many aliens are there overall in this ship? Because I think we have seen only
tons.
Do you think so? Because I thought maybe there was only humans in the saucer part.
Well, we know there's a Betazoid and a Klingon.
Yeah, but they don't have families on the ship.
Yeah.
We haven't seen any like baby Betazoids, you know, walking around in the saucer.
I bet they might have wanted to. They just didn't have the makeup budget for random extras.
We could probably assume that there are some, because it's allowed, or is it allowed to like marry and have families of different, like could a human have like a Klingon
we
wife?
learn in Star Trek Voyager that you have to ask the captain before you have sex with an alien. They have to like figure out if it's medically safe or not.
Oh, okay.
Or would cause a diplomatic incident.
So not every time, just the first time.
Yeah. So Worf tells them, you know, where he came from. And Chorus is clearly racist against humans. The way he's reacting to all this. But we learn that the Romulans attacked Khitomer colony. Worf was left for dead. A human saved him, raised Worf as his son. There was this brief moment where I'm like, he ordered his wife to raise me. I was like, ugh, I don't like that phrasing.
Yeah.
A human Starfleet officer found me. He took me to his home on Galt and told his wife to raise me as his son.
And I thought in some sense that it's strange, couldn't you just send him back to the Klingon planet and be like, okay, here, this orphan was found. It's kind of like if you found if you were on a vacation somewhere and you found like a child and you're like, I'll just bring it with me. It's like, no.
Yeah, I understand the Starfleet guy's reasoning, but for Klingons, I think we're left to assume that they don't care for orphans.
Okay.
Maybe being the child of somebody who was killed in battle is not honorable or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a little confusing.
And I guess they could have some kind of where they don't really care for, they don't take adoptive like children. But I guess I'm just thinking if they have relations, then why not send a message and be like, okay, this, but maybe they did and they were like, oh, no one wants him. So then they kept him.
Awkward.
Yeah. He's going to find his parents, or they were actually not there when the attack happened or something. And then it's going to be all like, no.
They should do a storyline at some point where like an uncle or an aunt or something is like, you should live with me, Worf. And he's like, I'm 30. What are you talking about? So he and his brother went to the academy. His brother hated it, so he went back to the colony, and Worf stayed. And this is where Chorus really is trying to draw out his like I really got Chorus's charisma here, where he's like trying to find Worf's motivation and play on it. He says, when the night was still and quiet, and the sound of the blood rushing through your veins filled your ears, the only way to silence it was to slip out into the night, and like the hunter that spawned you, join in the struggle of life and death.
Yeah, it's being all poetic. And I was wondering if you know the term that they said before, because Worf said that when he was found, he was before the age of inclusion. Is that like really little? Is it like when you're 1 year old, or is it more like, okay, you were not an adult?
I assumed it was kind of like coming of age, like maybe 12, like is that bar mitzvah age? But yeah, something like that. Like you become a warrior.
That could make sense. Or it could be, this kind of 100-day-old or something where it's like, okay, this baby will survive, so now we include it in our people, Before that, it's not maybe included because it's too small.
Yeah, if we ever find out what age he was, I don't know it or don't remember it.
There's no flashback with like the little baby. Yeah.
Yeah. So Chorus is like, the humans didn't understand you. They cursed you and called you vile names. He says, do you have those feelings? And Worf says, those feelings are still a part of me, but I control them. They do not control me.
Yes, those feelings are still a part of me. But I control them. They do not rule me.
And Chorus respects Worf's struggle to remain calm. So yeah, he's real snake-like. He clearly trying to hide his manipulations. Then he states his philosophy. He hates this peace. He wants glorious combat. Con Mel starts chiming in. He's stoked for combat. They destroyed a Klingon vessel. And then he says, they have been corrupted by an illusion of peace. And then he admits to being a criminal.
Yeah.
And Worf still lets them walk around the ship.
That's also my thought. I was like, shouldn't he just arrest them at this moment now? But he's just like, oh, okay.
Or just like a cheeky little, Yark, could you meet me in the corridor with several goons?
Yeah. Yeah, because doesn't Picard say earlier that, oh, he can handle them? I'm like, based on what? Like, they are 2 people. It seems like you should at least have 3 against 2.
I mean, Picard knows he's really strong and capable and he has Starfleet training. But, like, what if these guys are, like, Green Berets or, have hidden weapons on their person,
Yeah, because I feel like in order for Picard to be right about this, we should have seen him handle both of them. And then we could have been like, okay, yeah, he was right. But now it seemed like he could not handle both of them. So
Picard has an inflated sense of his own people's competence, maybe.
Yeah, I feel like he was not very competent in this one. Probably the least competent Picard we've seen so far.
Oh, man. I wonder why. What could make Picard, like, not be his normal professional self? I can't even imagine.
Maybe he's overworked. Needs vacation.
There you go. Yeah, he needs a break. Troy's not there to give him therapy.
That's why.
So next, Picard is musing about Geordi's vision. Oh, maybe that's it. He's just so excited about Geordi's visor. He's off his game.
Yeah.
So they're walking through engineering. Conmel is like buzzing with excitement. He's like, oh, with this ship, we could kick real ass. Up on the bridge, Data says that's the first time non-Klingons have witnessed the death ritual. And he explains the whole yelling to Stovacor thing that a warrior is coming.
I think that Picard was not talking about the visor, actually, at this point. He was talking about the death ritual.
Oh, he was? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Oh, yeah. He's like, I understood the looking into the dead man's eyes, but the howling? Yeah. Interesting that Data knows all about it, but Picard has never heard of it.
Yeah.
So a Klingon vessel is coming. They'll arrive in an hour and a half. I was surprised that they can get a visual so far away of a vessel in warp. Pretty surprising. Picard gives him a call, and we meet Commander Canera. I like the soup there.
The soup?
God, is Panera a thing in Sweden? Panera bread?
No.
It's a American place that makes bread and soup.
At Panera, it just meals good.
It's terrible. So Commander Canera, he says that the cruiser Tarkog was destroyed by these guys, that they're criminals, and he wants them. So as soon as they get there, he's going to want them transported over. And then we discover that Worf has taken these guys to Deck 17, which is notable for being the way to get to the battle bridge. Picard is suspicious, so he sends Yar with a security team. Worf explains that when the saucer separates, that the battle bridge becomes like a super effective weapon. So we're getting a sense of why they want access. And then Yar shows up. She's like, we got to take these guys into custody. Conmel wants Worf to join them, and Worf hesitates to commercial.
Yeah. And Yar says to him to step aside. No, because she's gonna stun them or something, I assume.
Did you think Worf might go for this?
I mean, I didn't think so for, just because it wouldn't make sense story-wise. So I thought that either he would maybe struggle a little bit longer, or he would just immediately be like, no, I was never gonna side with them. Okay. But I wasn't totally sure about, how it was a little bit confusing at this time, because you I guess we get to it when we talk about the hostage, but it's like he didn't really make a specific choice at some point. They were like, okay, I did step aside or something. It seemed like he was just a little bit confused, and then it was like, okay, now it's over. So it was a little bit uncertain for me, like, did he side with them or not? I wasn't sure how I was supposed to take it.
Yeah, my headcanon is that he's trying to think of a way to de-escalate the situation, because Klingons faced with weapons, you know, the tendency is to like engage. So maybe he was thinking of how to like make sure that didn't happen. And then this kid runs up. What is with these kids? She looks totally unaffected by the danger. She has no fear.
Yeah, she was a very chill kid.
Yeah, no lines. I think it was just bad acting, but whatever.
Yeah.
And Chorus picks her up and then gives her back to her mom. And they send the Klingons off to the brig. And Yar says to Worf like something like, that looked kind of dicey. I didn't know what was going to happen there. And he says, cowards take hostages. Klingons do not.
He knows so much about Klingons, even though he said he had not spent much time with them.
Yes. Now this is a huge part of of Worf's personality, that he's almost more Klingon than most Klingons because he didn't live with them. So all of his knowledge comes from books and holo novels, probably, you know, Starfleet reports.
I love, actually, now I want a separate story that is like that, you know, where imagine if someone was like, they had never visited a specific country or something, and all they learned was like from this kind of idealistic, you know, codes of, you know, what is like the moral, and then it would be like, everybody lives like this, and then he would meet Klingons and he'd be like, no, you know, it's that, like that idea that maybe that was just like propaganda, you know, or this very idolized version.
I believe there is a moment, maybe it's Deep Space Nine, so it's years in the future, where like we do see clearly that like Worf is kind of has a limited view of what they're really like, that they actually have a much richer culture. I don't want to speak for folks from other cultures, but I have heard, for example, that Irish Americans were more militant during the Troubles than even like most Irish people in Ireland. I have heard that oftentimes mixed people that join the freedom struggle are more militant than people who've dealt with that have lived among black people their whole life. I can't confirm, but you know, there are notable examples like of black folks who grew up around white people, for example.
Yeah, I could see that. But I also think that maybe it comes from this, like you described, if he learns it all from books and such, then it becomes also very much a theoretical thing, where it's not like you learn it in your everyday life. So then it is a little bit more black and white and probably a little simplified.
There is a moment in the future where we learn one of the things that made Worf like not fit in his cultural upbringing, and it is fucking terrible. I wish I could tell you, but it's far in the future. But something bad happens because of his Klingonness, and you're like, holy shit, how do you come back from that? Let's see. So they take him to the brig, and the brig is like right off the main corridor.
Yeah.
Like there aren't multiple security stations. I was stunned.
Yeah. And at first I thought I thought that it was a cool thing where they didn't have a door, but I thought that the idea was that the guards were supposed to watch them through the opening. That's why it was open. But then they didn't watch them. Like, why is then the point of having no door? Then it didn't make sense.
Yeah, I wonder if the producers had never been to a jail or worked on a cop show, or if they intentionally wanted it to be different. Because, yeah, they're not looking at a camera. They don't have a guy in the room.
Mm.
You know, they don't have multiple force fields. They only have the one. Yeah.
Yeah, because in theory, I like this idea, you know, that you would have, because if you have force fields, you could have something where it's just like totally open and the prisoners are just like very visible instead of being like locked up in this space. But then it would make sense that someone is actually watching.
Yeah. There is a thing like that in an episode of Star Trek Discovery where they go to a prison, and yeah, it's like a big open space with multiple force fields. Safety wise, it's dicey though, because what if the power goes out?
Yeah.
So these two are clearly up to something, and then he goes Royario, and that's apparently a code word for something.
Yeah, I was thinking if someone knew Klingon, you're like someone watching, would they be able to know then that they were communicating something specific?
Does it mean let's begin our evil plan?
Yeah, I think so.
Or maybe it's like, what would that be in English? Like a historical event in which like some... the Great Escape would be like, Great Escape, right? Or Steve McQueen, you know? But that would be a bad code word.
Yeah, that's true. If it's something that people know about, I guess, outside Klingon space. But I thought that was funny because, you know, there are some movies and such where sometimes if you know the language, it will spoil the movie because it would be like the villains will be like, and then if you can actually speak, they're using an actual language. And then if you speak it, then they're saying like, okay, this is actually what's going on, you know. And then so I thought maybe it would spoil, you know, if you know Klingon. But do they have an actual Klingon language at this point? Because I thought they made a language, right?
I believe so. I'm punching this in to see if anything comes up. Royaro. I got nothing there. Let's see. Klingon translator. No, that's just explaining the app for the Windows phone. Huh. Well, if I find out, I'll punch in what it means. Maybe it's like applesauce or, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it could be anything.
Seagull.
Yeah. Or some kind of just like, let's go, you know. It could just be.
Yeah. Allons-y.
Allons-y.
That's French. What is it in Italian? Vamonos? Or no, that's Spanish.
I don't know Italian.
So Picard explains the situation to Worf, and Worf's like, they will be tried and executed, sir. And he finds that unpleasant. Picard's not very happy about it either. This is probably how other countries feel, countries that don't have capital punishment, when they have an American prisoner and they have to turn him over to us. It's like, you know, diplomacy requires that we turn them over, but like we don't love their legal system.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like in Sweden, turning Americans over would be all right. But the problem is when you have to turn them over to Turkey or something. That is what really...
Do they have what's the word? A bad legal system?
Yes, they are just like, we want all of these terrorists. And, you know, we're like, don't send it to Turkey. Because it's a whole thing with NATO that the Turkey wanted all this kind of exchange. You know, they wanted to be able to get Swedish people to Turkey, what they thought was terrorists in Turkey, which is not agreed.
So Canera says, give me them criminals. And Worf asks Picard if he can talk to him.
Yeah, and he wanted to send them to the Holly system. I don't know what that is, if that is something specific, or it's just like there's a war there, I suppose.
Maybe Maybe that's a place with like lots of dangerous wildlife.
Oh yeah, that could be. I was thinking maybe the Klingons were at war in this system, and so they thought send them there, and then they can fight in this war, and then they will die there. I get the
feeling that wouldn't be a good idea because, you know, if they got their hands on some guns, they could get themselves on a ship or whatever. Whereas if it was wildlife, there's less of a chance of them getting away. But that's interesting. Yeah. I wonder if there's any fan fiction about this.
I thought you could probably, even if they get some guns or something, like, I don't know, maybe Worf just feels that they would be happy if they were allowed to fight in this system. So maybe that would be enough for them.
Yeah, I'm not sure if fighting dragons or pigs would be enough for their honor, but maybe.
Yeah.
K'Nera says, hey, they got to be punished. Worf doesn't think they should be executed without honor.
What burns in their eyes fires my soul. I hear their words, and I see it all as it was. Part of me longs for that time.
So he asks him about sending him to Halley. K'Nera agrees with the idea, but he has no choice. Picard tells Yar to take the prisoners to the transporter. So we cut back. Klingons have put together a weapon out of bits and bobs. It's like that Clint Eastwood movie with John Malkovich as an assassin and his wooden gun.
I haven't seen it.
I couldn't remember the name of it. Malkovich.
Maybe it's called Man with a Wooden Gun.
That's a great name. It's called In the Line of Fire. Clint plays a Secret Service agent, and Malkovich is the assassin. So they put together this weapon, and Chorus kind of rubs it sensually.
That's how you activate it.
Mm-hmm. He hands it back to Conmel, and then he disables the force field. I'm sorry, I breezed right past. Maybe that's how you activate it. Holy shit. That's like in a movie where there's like biotech, you know, and weapon, and you like rub this worm to shoot goo or something. Yikes. So they take out an extra. Conmel gets shot. He goes down. And then Chorus shoots another guy who apparently doesn't understand how cover works. Like, there's a gun in play, and he just stands there in the hallway. He doesn't even crouch or roll. Like, yeah. That guy is dead. The Starfleet needs to up their training. I blame Yar for this one. She should be training her people better.
Yeah, watch through the door. Don't just stand leaning on the wall.
Yeah. So Chorus takes off. Yar and her team are in pursuit. Picard tells K'Nera what's going on, and K'Nera offers aid. This is awkward, but Picard's like, "Nah, we'll take it. We'll handle it."
And I wasn't sure, you know, at this point, maybe this was all a whole trap, you know, to get the other Klingons onto the ship for some reason.
Oh, that's interesting. I did think about what might happen if they brought over a bunch of Klingons, but I didn't consider that angle. Like, would they try to take over
but
the Enterprise?
I think there was, it was only just because I thought maybe there was some other to it, but I think it's just about the kind of insult, I guess, that they're, you need help from us, and they're like, no, we can handle it. Okay,
now, if this was a two-parter, the guy's charismatic enough, he could be like a cult leader or a revolutionary. So the K'Nera is saying he's just a regular criminal, but he's actually like, you know, this charismatic leader who convinces a bunch of the people on K'Nera's ship to revolt, right? And then it starts this whole kind of piracy angle, but that's a different episode. Let's see. They arrive in engineering. Yar explains what's happening. She thinks they should wait him out. And Worf wants to talk to him. I skipped. In engineering, Chorus runs around. He sees the warp core. He climbs up there, points his weapon at it. Yar runs in. Picard says, it's hopeless. You can't win. And Chorus wants to see Worf. Worf asks to go talk to him. Picard goes with. So they all arrive in engineering. Yar fills them in. She thinks they should wait him out. And Worf asks to talk to him. And this is where I don't know if this is just a bad line or if she delivers it weirdly, but she says, I do not think that's a good idea, Worf. I'm like, was this line meant for Data? Like, why does she say it like that?
I do not think that's a good idea, Worf.
I didn't think about it. I think maybe for me it felt like she was so tense or something. I didn't really feel it was weird.
Like she's
in the moment.
Emphasizing these.
She's somehow
words.
like.
So Worf explains that Chorus won't wait long. They can't wait. So Chorus says, "Brother, I knew you would come." And Worf climbs up there. Chorus is still trying to sell him on rebellion. He says, "We have a chance. We cannot do it alone, but I would rather die here." So he's clearly off his nut. He's like, "Together we will light up the galaxy." And I'm like, he does not understand how this shit works. Like, what is his plan? Like, he's going to stay by the warp core and point at it. And like, Worf is going to lead them all up to the saucer and then take over the battle bridge by himself. Like, what is this guy thinking?
Yeah, I guess if he's like standing by the warp core, but he could do that by himself, if they really trusted him, like, because, or is this core in the saucer or in the like main?
This is in the
bridge?
battle section. Yeah, the battle bridge is connected to engineering.
Yeah, I guess if they really did trust him that he would blow it up, then he could send everyone off and be like, okay, everyone leave except me. Yeah. And then he could separate. So maybe he needs Worf to do the separation because he doesn't know how.
Yeah, or I mean, somebody has to stay with the warp core. Unless he's like so delusional, he's like, they'll just let us go up there. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess. I was thinking that people were leaving into the saucer part and then he could like run really fast and separate, but maybe that's not very practical.
So Worf draws his phaser and Chorus is stunned that Worf would draw on him. He says, "You have been with them, but you are of us."
Do not deny the challenge of your destiny. Get off your knees and soar. Open your eyes and let the dream take flight.
Worf states his philosophy: the true test of a warrior is not without, it is within. Where are the words duty, honor, loyalty, without which a warrior is nothing? Korra says, "You are a sham. You are no Klingon." And Worf says, "Perhaps not," and takes him out. And then he falls, like, apparently through the railing, or does he propel himself over the railing? And then he goes through this glass floor, and I'm like, what is this safety situation on engineering? Like, is it not rated for a Klingon's weight? Like, do they not expect things to fall on it? Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, that's true. I didn't think about that, but that does seem weird to have a glass thing in the engineering. But maybe you need to have the glass there for some reason. It's like some kind of conductive area or something. Or not conductive. Glass is not conductive, right? That's the point.
Yeah, maybe there were two panes and like argon or something goes through it. Yeah, that makes sense. All I know is OSHA should get involved. Redo that.
Shouldn't fall off the railings. Yeah. But I really like this Worf line. I think it was very Void Punk, where it's like, oh, maybe I'm not a Klingon.
Yes. So Worf goes to him and he's like, let me do this. He said he watches him die, and then he roars to Tovakor. And we get this crazy 4-cut zoom out. It's super stylish, very cool. And Picard ponders. We get a good Picard pondering.
I thought also, you talked before about them opening their eyes, and I thought that it was because they were supposed to die with their eyes open, because it's like dying in battle, you know?
Yeah.
But maybe it's supposed to they want to look at their eyes when they die. I'm not sure which.
And make sure.
Yeah, or like having some kind of eye contact. Yeah.
Klingons don't believe in a soul or an afterlife. The theory is that, or like the legend is that Kahless, their great warrior ancestor, killed all the gods. Yeah, this is wrong. Kahless killed their gods, but they do believe in an afterlife, which we discover some sign of later on in the franchise.
That's fun.
And that's the foundation for their atheist society or something. I don't know. So then up on the bridge, Picard fills in Kinera on what happened. Kinera talks to Worf. He asks how they died, and he says they died well. Picard asks what to do with the bodies. He says they are now empty shells.
Yeah, and it's the same as the other guy said. You know, the ones that they fought when the third guy died.
Yeah, so like Starfleet, they'll put him in a torpedo and send him out into space. But it sounds like Klingons just chuck him in the recycler. Put him out with the trash. Kinera offers a job to Worf. He says, perhaps there are some things we could teach you. Worf politely demurs after another hesitation. And everybody's looking at him later after the call, and he says, I was just being polite, sir. And Picard goes, commendable, Lieutenant.
I was just being polite, sir.
Commendable, Lieutenant.
And Worf says he has no desire to leave the Enterprise. And Picard says, Mr. Worf, the bridge wouldn't be the same without you. And we get Worf eyes to theme.
But the other captain said that he could join them when he was done with this ship, right? So I wasn't sure if it was like you get this kind of 20-year time or something, and then you're like, okay, now you're done with the ship. So I thought, why not go to the Klingons? Yeah.
He says your tour of duty, which, could be any length of time. So it's possible that Worf might one day leave Starfleet and rejoin the Empire. The offer has been made.
Yeah, maybe I'm thinking too much about it in a corporate sense, because I'm like, you should change jobs. You shouldn't just be in one ship, You should go to another ship, and then you can come back and be like, I have served both human and Klingon. Now I'm going to serve this other, you get a lot of experience, different ships.
Yeah, there's a real notion with Starfleet that, like, it's a lifetime. It's a way of life. Like, the very idea that you'd ever want to leave is preposterous or whatever, even though people leave from time to time. But yeah, it's weird. But spoiler alert, Worf does do a little work with Klingons at some point in the future.
Yeah. And I thought it was interesting with this. Sorry, did you want to
say
something about the end? I was thinking more about the episode as a whole, is that I also try to think when I watch these episodes about what is the underlying assumptions or, philosophy. And I think that it's interesting when you bring this Klingon thing. I feel like it's some kind of commentary on humanity as well, that it's about the concept, like, I guess, like the, what do you call it, like the Hobbesian theory, that you're like, you have this, your own nature is maybe violent, and that you have to like restrain and be civilized. And like, I guess it's interesting in the terms of like the different ideas about human nature that they bring on, is that maybe this Klingon is a way also to explore human nature, because I think really all of it is really about humans, right?
Right, yeah. Science fiction is our opportunity to explore who we are as a people, where we are now, where we could go. So yeah, the alien races in Star Trek are often a way to explore what Starfleet has apparently put in the rearview mirror, So Ferengis are like capitalist, right? Starfleet doesn't do capitalism anymore, so they have to invent a species that's into it. And Klingons, yeah, they're into honorable combat, which Starfleet is beyond that.
Yeah, I could see that it's like a way to, the different aliens can be a way to explore different aspects of humanity then. And I guess, yeah, I don't know, I don't have a conclusion on it. I just feel like that was really much the theme here, was that this message about, all, like, several of these Klingons there is like, yeah, we want to do this, but like we're not gonna do it. So and somehow that is that going against their nature is the right choice. Where I think that maybe this is maybe not. I feel like maybe nowadays we would think that you shouldn't try to suppress like different. Sorry, I cannot really.
Well, it sounds like you're suggesting that in a more enlightened age, we allow for different cultural traditions, whereas here they've sort of excised what'd you say, the Hobbesian sort of thing, where like the way to prevent civil war and whatnot is to have government and sort of outside control, because nature is, what does he say, nasty, brutish, and short. Which could describe the Klingon ethos, right? Is like, if you're always ready for battle, life is bound to be shorter and nastier. Yeah, that's what I feel, is that it's somehow the Klingons feel like this Hobbes philosophy of civilization, in that, if they're left alone just to go by their instincts, then they are naturally brutal, and they have to have like civilization which is enforced upon them, and like, or upon themselves, that they have to like self-control themselves, and their normal instincts is to be aggressive, while if you were like criticizing Hobbes, you would say something like Rousseau, where you would be like, no, they're natural, like for humans, I mean, humans' natural way of life is to be peaceful, and that civilization is what makes you do horrible things, and that is something that is taught. And I guess then the question then here with the Klingons is that here it seems very Hobbesian, that it's like they have to really just suppress their real nature. And that's why you have an empire and a Klingon council and like emperor and stuff. They have to tamp down the brutal nature. Yeah, whereas Starfleet, part of it is because the Roddenberry vision was to make it, the Federation, not capitalist, to make it socialist, and like, and the way to make that work is if human beings put this stuff behind them. And we don't know how that would work because we've never really At least mainstream governments haven't found a way to foster that, I guess. We have all these competing philosophies, religions, you know.
Yeah. And
yeah.
But yeah, and it's interesting. I wonder if then they would feel like Klingons could at some point be different, or if it's like, were humans just always more peaceful? Like, I'm not sure how to, but do you know, like, if Klingons is like a just allegory for humans, then what are the humans in this situation? Then are they just this kind of made up, you know,
So
or is it like the yeah.
The Star Trek conceit, the thing that underpins all of it, is that Earth went through a disastrous world war that almost destroyed our civilization, and we've come out of it on the other side with these renewed commitment to peace and cooperation and suppressing our violent nature. It was really popular as a message, I don't know. It came back again and again in the original series. And so by the time we get to Next Generation, it's just kind of assumed that would carry on. Whereas in almost every other science fiction franchise, it's just people are people. Human beings do just as many bad things as other species.
Yeah. But I suppose, I think that Worf was raised by humans, but he still has these instincts, you know, that are like more aggressive. So then it seems like they are not saying, they're saying that, okay, it's actually about the genetics, you know, like the nature. And so you would feel like there should be more humans that are also more aggressive then, and they're like just kept under control in this, you know, societal pressure somehow.
Yeah, you definitely see it in the original series that humans that aren't members of Starfleet are like that, right? You meet these mad scientists and all this shit, that it's really more about Starfleet than the Federation or human beings in general. But for Next Generation, where that's sort of just assumed to be a part of the human thing, Worf in many ways is our closest analog, because has this nature of violence and all this stuff that's part of being human. But he's also enlightened and committed to Starfleet values and things like. So in many ways he's more relatable than Picard or Riker or what have you. Yeah.
And I suppose I like this idea that you said, is that it's really about the Starfleet, that they maybe take the personalities that are less aggressive, or at least like in the aggression is like more purposeful maybe.
And also they're self-selecting, right? When you have hundreds of billions of people to draw from, maybe you only accept those people that are most enlightened or least likely to pop off with some violence. It's an interesting idea. Like in our world, that is not the case. We want people that follow orders and could kill at the drop of a hat, right? It's very different ethos or training regimen or whatever.
Yeah, but they are not really warship specifically. So I think that if you had like some kind of research ship, maybe that would be in the normal world, maybe that would be a different priority then.
So talking about the Klingon War, the more modern series Star Trek Discovery actually goes back to that time, and we see what a warship is like. And it really does play with those tropes a little bit more, that a warship is more violent in its structure or behavior or whatever. There's eventually a Star Trek twist as to why that's happening. But at first it's like, oh, wow, they're really doing this. So, yeah, it's a great series. Highly recommend. Well, Anything else on this episode or Klingons or anything else?
No, that was it. But I liked it.
Good. I'm glad. Let's see. If you want to do more Star Trek, I think the very next one is decent. The Arsenal of Freedom. Yes. I think that's the one we do next. Picard and the away team fight for their lives on a planet run by a computerized weapons system. There might be some Battle Bridge stuff in this one. Stay tuned. Picard's on an away team. We don't get that very often. So that's fun. Any recommendations?
I feel like I'm mostly rereading stuff. I don't really have anything that I finished. So like the new stuff that I'm reading, I've not finished. So I'll have to see if it's good after I've read it all.
Yeah, I guess mine will be Still Just a Geek by Will Wheaton. It's very nice getting a sort of, it's almost like a longitudinal study of a person. Because he left Star Trek early because he just had such a terrible time and difficult home life and all this stuff. So for years and years, he felt like he didn't fit in with the cast, and one of the producers was a real dick. And so like part of reading the book is finding the moments where he comes to terms with his own bullshit and learns to love Star Trek again, and is part of the family. It's very moving. Also, I started listening to a podcast with 3 comedians called Lady to Lady. They get a lot of great guests and they address women's issues, and it's very funny. So, yeah.
Oh, I guess with podcasts, I could recommend. I was listening to My Sister Made Me View It. That was really funny. I just recently started to listen to it. I'm listening to their coverage of the Stormlight archives, and they're just doing like very goofy coverage where one of them has read the books, and she makes her sister read them, and then they do like this theorizing and stuff, and trying to like convince each other of different viewpoints, like who is the likable or not, and everything like that.
Interesting.
That's fun.
I have not read the Stormlight Archive. I love Mistborn, also by Brandon Sanderson, and I loved the coverage of it with Miles and Natasha on Unspoiled. I believe that's a Patreon exclusive.
Yeah, that's true. On Unspoiled it is.
It's also very good if people want to check out Unspoiled Network. There's tons of other shows that they've covered. But yeah, it's kind of like this process. You never watched Star Trek, right?
No, I haven't. At least like not more than, maybe I would have seen a scene or so. I would know a little bit about it, but practically nothing. I was too scared when I was a child, I wouldn't want to watch, because one time I saw this sci-fi show and there was like this baby dying, and I was like, no, it's too scary. I cannot watch sci-fi.
That was with me and the X-Files. Like, I knew it was good. Everybody loved it. But like the one time I tuned in, it was too fucking scary. And I never watched it again for decades.
Yeah, and it can be really, you become almost, when you're a child, it's like the fear becomes like the scary thing itself. So it almost blows it up even more. He's like afraid of being afraid.
So my sister made me watch this or made me view it?
Yeah, my sister made me view it because they have some different TV as well. So I guess they chose that rather than read it.
I love it. They have a bunch of different threads. Okay, cool. Well, I'll check that out. Thank you, listener, for following us. If you want to reach Sofia, you can send us an email. It's greatandsecretknowledge@gmail.com. Suggest guests, tell us how great we are. crack a joke. That's all good. We're also on Facebook, The Great and Secret Knowledge. Check out our archive. We've done all kinds of movies, TVs, video. Sophia and I started with one of the Vorkosigan saga books by Lois McMaster Bujold. Have an interview with her. So, yeah, look back, see what we've done, and maybe there's something there you might enjoy. Also, I do Omniversal Escapades, which is a live stream role-playing game show. It's comedy, so it's very snappy and silly. Right now we're playing a post-apocalyptic D&D thing. That is every other Sunday at 6:30 Pacific, and it's archived at youtube.com/Omniversal Escapades. I also do a space opera show called Shattered Worlds RPG, which is sort of like rebuilding after the world went to hell. So it's not your average dystopia. It's like, trying to build society, make it better. So it allows us to comment on things like climate change and colonization and stuff. So yeah, that's a great show as well. I think that's it. Do you have anything you want people to check out?
Maybe at some point I would recommend the stuff that I'm doing for my business. But will be very niche because it's only about traffic planning. And people will be like, no, I'm not going to check that out. And maybe there will be some traffic planners listening and they'll be like, yes, I love it.
I can't wait for that email to come in. I need Sophia to help me get a roundabout in or something.
Yeah.
All right, folks, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and we will see you very soon.
Yes, this is.
Excelsior!
I don't care what you look like. You are no Klingon!
Perhaps not.
To me, it's just an undefined form standing in a visual frenzy.
Commander, we are outside! This ship is blowing!
A huge thanks to James Lark of jameslark.co.uk for providing our wonderful theme song. Thank you, James.
Oh, a quote from the episode. Let's see.
You have to do the perhaps not.
Oh, yes, perhaps not. Perfect. I was going to say Picard. To me, it's an undefined form standing in a visual frenzy. But yeah, that one is iconic. Or Geordi going, Commander, we're out of time. This ship is blowing.
You should do all three. You could do the blowing one in the end.